1, 2, 3, 4, to the left, to the left. Okay, guys, so today we're doing a pound-to-pound power comparison of Bilt Hamber touchless snow foam pre-wash, which is designed to be used at a minimum panel impact ratio of 0.5%. So that's 0.5 of a millimetre to 99.5 millimetres of water, or 1 mil to 200 in this glass, all the way up to a maximum panel impact ratio of 2%, which would be 2 mil to 98 mil roughly, or 4 mil in there to 200 mil roughly, okay, and a middle ground of 1%, where I'm interested to see if it's effective. We're just doing this on a benchmark, and we're doing it, it's a bench test, it's a lab style test, and we're doing it on our forensic dirt simulator, which you'll have seen before, which is a synthetic dirt, which just allows us to do some silly tests. And so let's take our first one. I've put a little bit of string down the middle. Very clever, ingenious that is, between 2 layers of tape. Ingenious. Never seen that done anywhere. Really clever. I'm more impressed with that than I am anything else. Some unusual conditions today. It's been raining, then really nice, then it rains again. Very strange weather. So this panel's been out for a lot longer than normal, and it got wet and dried again. But anyway, we'll just go with it. So I'm not sure if the results are going to be consistent across other tests, but they'll be consistent with each other, if you guess, because it's the same film. So let's put this on. Oh shit. A little bit of cross-contamination there. That actually won't make it won't make any difference. It won't make much difference. It's just on the edge there, and then I'll get this on. Just got to be careful. So my little string thing is, you've got to be a bit more gentle with it. Won't matter. We're just soaking it out with the full 1% here. Interesting though. Less wetting at half a percent. It's less wetting. You need that higher concentration of the surfactant to get that low surface tension. So we know it's effective at this 2% ratio, so let's get that on there. Get it all on there. Get it all on there. How you pour it does affect it. Yeah, it wets out the surface better at 2%. Struggling to wet out the surface at 0.5%, which I've never seen that before, usually with Surfex. Really, it's not Surfex, it's touchless. But normally these Bilt Hamber things, as you've heard me say, have really lower the surface tension, so that even on a hydrophobic oily surface like that, they form like a film. Whereas that's standing up a little bit, which is unusual. Maybe it's just, well, we'll see, because I don't expect it to be very good on these bits where it hasn't formed a film, but at 1%, and yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? 2%, it's lower surface tension. So we'll leave that. What's the dwell time of the product? I think it's up to 5 minutes, isn't it? So we typically leave that for 5 minutes. So, no point in me standing here, is there? I might as well just pause the camera. I'll chat to you. How you doing? How's life? How you hanging? I'm waiting for someone to turn up and take this van away. I'm waiting for a van to turn up, flat lifter to turn up, transporter, take my M4 away. And the moment you start filming, you'll probably turn up. Can I drag this out any longer? Yes, I can. Let's just think. Well, pre-washing. It's not that controversial if you follow my channel. You know, it's just nice to cover your car, cover it in that blanket of pre-wash. Let's just pan out. Pre-wash goes everywhere, gets into the wheels, gets on, soaks into that dirt film, gets into all the crevices and runoff areas that can be dusty and full of dirt, gets all into those door crevices where all the hinges and stuff are, gets into all the scuttle and all the places on the dirty cars that get neglected, does its thing, and then you blast down under pressure, strip down loads of that dirt off of the car. Get the sniff going. That's really beneficial for me, but lots of products don't really make that difference enough where you could just use a pressure washer and blast off some of that dirt film. But a really good pre-wash just peels that dirt off, and I think probably touchless is about as good as it gets at doing that. Now, historically, Bilt Hamber touchless, you had to use it at 4 to 5% PIR, in fact 5% I think it was, which is quite a lot of product, about 50-50 in the lance. And so it wasn't, you know, some people didn't like that, which I guess, you know, if you're used to using like 1 to 10 in the lance and suddenly you're using 50-50, it's like, whoa, that's massively different to anything else. So I've given you my thoughts on that. Yes, it is, but the product was a bit cheaper than all the other snow foams, and you didn't really have to go 50-50. And really, you don't use a whole lance on a car. You should be using about 300 ml total solution, even in a system, even in that lance, which blasts out product. You know, if you've got a conservative lance and pressure washer, you're probably going to be able to do it in 250 millilitres or whatever. So it's not that big a deal, but yeah, it's a bigger deal. It's a big deal for someone, or it's a valid criticism. So this new product runs at lower PIRs with a top PIR of 2% and a minimum PIR of 0.5%. Haven't used it at 0.5%. Interesting. I don't think it's going to affect the dirt simulator that much. Let me have a look at the time. So how long have we been? Oof. I think we've been long enough. I don't want it to dry. So let's blast this off. Let's blast these off. They've been long enough. Flat. We'll go flat. Okay. So let's go 0.5 PIR. It's still wet. I can see it's still wet, but there's bits that it hasn't hit. So this will be interesting. Oh, just starting to do it. Just starting to have a little nibble at it. 1% PIR. Oh, yes. Interesting, really interesting. That's effective. 2% PIR. Yeah, that's working. Yeah, well, that's really working. Interesting though. Interesting. So 1 to 2 wasn't significantly different. 2% slightly better. Previously, when 0.5% doesn't touch my dirt simulator. Okay, hasn't. I think that's probably cross contamination. So it's a little finger that's leaked through because I just, if the 0.5% liquid was working, it would have worked in other places. So interesting. What are my thoughts on that? I didn't expect 0.5% PIR to clear my dirt film. Just nothing has done that historically. Yeah, interesting. It's probably just not quite enough surfactant, not quite enough product. If you put 100 dice or ice cubes, 100 ice cubes on this counter and they're all sitting there, and then you've got half an ice cube, or 99 ice cubes, and then half an ice cube of product, and then another half of water. So you've got 99 and a half ice cubes of water, and then like a tiny little half ice cube of surfactant. It's not much surfactant, is it? So, yeah, interesting. So what I've learned, that 1% performs close to 2%. So here's something we've learned about touchless. If it's summertime and you're trying to save product and you don't have a thick road film on your car, I'm sure 0.5% will be absolutely fine for just doing its job, you know. But if you have that thick, dried-on road film, okay, you could lick at your finger and write signs on the back, like builders' vans and stuff, you know. If you've got that type of road film on your car, the wintry road film, then 1% to 2% is an option. 1% seems quite good. You might be able to find that you can operate it at 1%, which will double the efficiency of the product. So I'm going to be using this by default at 1% PIR. 1% PIR is about 1 to 6 or 1 to 7 in the lance on my system. Last time I calculated it. I know you've all got a thing about all this. It's not that difficult. You just have to get your brain into gear. So 1 to 6, 1 to 7. And it only has to be roughly rough, you know, roughly rough. It doesn't have to be, you know, don't have to obsess about PIR, but you have to understand it. it's always good to understand it for your benefit, not just with Bilt Hamber, but with all products. So 1 to 6, I reckon I could get away with doing that. So 1 to 6 through to 1 to 3, roughly. So I'm going to probably try using this product around 1 to 6 going forward now. And that will give me an incredible cost per wash, because that would be, I would use about 330 ml overall solution, 1 to 6. So what's 330 chunked into 7 parts? And then I can get 1 part product, 6 parts water. I said it wasn't complicated. Bloody well is. Sometimes it can be. So 1 to 7 parts. So 300. So yeah. So I ain't going to be using much product. I'd have to work it out. Yeah. So I could use like 50 ml to about 50 ml to about 300 ml would give me a reasonable poke, and that's enough to do a car. So I don't know, maybe a little bit less. Anyway, I will go and work that out, because it's just worth knowing roughly within a certain error window what you're dealing with. So it starts stripping. You know, when I spray it with water, I want to see the dirt simulator peeling off, and then I know that the layer is being emulsified. Definitely didn't do it at 0.5%. Could I go again with it? Could I leave it longer? All these things. Yes, this is a very informal, quick look, but I don't think so, no. These Bilt Hamber surfactants tend to work quite fast. And the main problem was it wasn't wetting out the surface with how I tipped it. So there's not quite enough surfactant in there for that greasy film. That greasy film is worse to remove off a car than road film. If it can get this off, it will get road film off easily. So don't think because it didn't get off that bit of film, dirt simulator, that it's not going to be effective at 0.5 on road film. What this, on genuine road film. So like I say, 0.5 may be a good working ratio if it's not too dirty. So I'm just trying to translate the dirt sim into how I would use it. So 0.5 for summer with no road film and just your car's well maintained. 1% perhaps for medium, moving up to heavy dirt, 2% for the maximum amount of cleaning ratio. Or generally, if you're a real tight guy and it's really important for you to stretch how much you're using, you get your money's worth, which is, I fall into that category, then experiment with using it 1 to 1%. Maybe even find your little magic ratio somewhere between 1 and 2% or something like that. Just play around with it. There you go, guys. So there's a video on the impact of touchless at different ratios. Am I surprised? I'm pretty surprised. I thought there'd be a bit of a difference between 1% and 2%, but they both seem very similar. So, yeah, it's almost like there's that tipping point where the product suddenly becomes effective on my dirt simulator. Yeah, there's got to be a tipping point, hasn't there? Got to be a tipping point. I'm just trying to get my head around what's going on with the chemistry and the oils and the emulsification. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Here's all my Bilt Hamber stuff there. My OCD is freaking out about that bottle. I've probably got one of these white bottles somewhere kicking around. I'll like transfer that into there and put this label on the white bottle. Other than that, take care. Yeah, I'm just getting the urge to use like some of these waxes because I've just not used them. So I might put that on the old Porsche, the microfine. Oh, that's the polish and wax in one, isn't it? That's the primer polish in wax in one, and that's the paste. That's the liquid, solvent-based liquid wax. I should really pick up some more double speed as well, because that's the beady, really durable one, paste wax format, isn't it? So there we go. But yeah, I mean, I've got loads of waxes as well, but you end up you sort of think, oh, I should get that to complete the set. But there you go. Take care. Hope this video was useful to you. The next time you see me, I'll only have one car in my garage. That's going to be really cool, hopefully. Adios, don't forget to subscribe. Doug.